let's finish off with a practical example of how this process can work for a small business. And we're going to look at an NDIS provider that Worrells in Western Sydney Health. They had 54 employees, around about 250 clients, and during COVID, they'd maintained their staff, they'd done what they thought was the right thing and the thing the government wanted them to do. As a result, they'd got a bit behind on their tax, and they ended up with a tax debt of around $420,000. They had a few other minor creditors, but nothing significant compared to the ATO debt. The ATO, they'd entered into a payment plan with the ATO, 17 grand a month, and that just wasn't a viable plan for them. They just couldn't afford that. The business had somewhere between 12 and 15 grand of free cash flow a month, so it just didn't have the money to pay 17 grand every month. It wasn't an option for them, and so what they came to us originally to do was to put the company into liquidation, because they thought, we just can't proceed like this, we're going backwards, we need to wind it up. But they were a perfect candidate for small business restructuring, and the way we dealt with that is putting forward a proposal to the ATO based upon a cash flow forecast and estimate of what the business could afford over the future. And the proposal that was ultimately put to the creditors was a payment of $120,000 made by way of $10,000 a month for 12 months. That meant the company wasn't tied up for too long, and it was an affordable amount. They still had a bit of wiggle room based on free cash flow in their forecasts to enable them to make sure they could make those payments, even if something went a little bit wrong and they fell short on what they were projecting. That proposal was accepted by the ATO and the other main creditor, and that plan has recently completed. So they completed their 12 months of payments. They've made all of them on time, and we've made a distribution to the creditors of just over 30 cents in the dollar, which is not the best return from the perspective of, I want all my money, but an excellent return in an insolvency situation, and a much better return than creditors would have got if this company had gone into liquidation. And on top of that, we got to save 54 jobs. Those jobs continue, those people continue with employment, and the customers of that NDIS provider don't get the interruption that would have happened if that business had ceased trading. And so it's a practical example of how the process can benefit everybody. The creditors got more than they would have otherwise got. The business gets to continue, the employees get to keep their jobs. It's a win-win-win situation in this case.